call to order this regular meeting of the Monument Town Council, March 20th, 2023. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Erickson, will you take roll, please?
Mayor LaKind,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Here.
Councilmember Abbott,
Here.
Councilmember Kimple,
Here.
Councilmember Chronic,
Here.
Councilmember Fiorito,
Here.
and Councilmember Romanella was absent with prior notice.
All right, before us, we have a consent agenda. Do we have any modifications to the agenda?
I had none.
Excellent. Okay, do we have a motion?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Erickson.
Councilmember Fiorito,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimple,
Yes.
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Chronic.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes 6-0.
Mayor, if I could make an introduction.
Of course.
Thank you. Kyle Anderson, please stand up. So I'd like to introduce the new town clerk, Mr. Kyle Anderson. He's a veteran of the United States Air Force, also a graduate of the Ohio State University,
Oh, of course.
and also a graduate of the Capital University Law School. He's the father of 5, and he joined our office on March 13th. If you'd help me welcome Kyle Anderson.
Welcome. How's the Ohio State doing in bracketology? Oh. Okay.
We haven't recovered from football yet.
No, no. Yeah. And badminton.
Oh, boy. You'll have plenty of firepower for him when every Texas team doesn't make it to the playoffs next year.
Texas is in the Sweet
Okay.
16, by the way.
All right, first up, we have oaths of office. Interim Chief Johnson.
Chief, if you could grab the mic, that would be great. Thank you, sir.
Here. Okay. We'll be welcoming Officer Dustin Williams from Polk County, Iowa. Officer Kelly Goodwin from Denver PD, and Officer Joseph Markarian from Pueblo PD. Dustin White Jenny will be penning him. His friend. Andrew, Wilson's fiance. Congratulations and welcome. Oh, they went the opposite way.
It's not to my thinking, so I consider.
Ben is excited. Okay, next up, resolution 2020-23, a resolution to approve change order number 2 to the 2 million gallon tank project with preload. Mr. Tharnish?
Good evening, Council. Tom Tharnish, Director of Public Works. Resolution you have in front of you tonight is to approve change order. I know in the nomenclature, we listed it as change order 4. But when I got the package here tonight, I realized it really should have been change order 2. It's a typo. 4 was a numbering system that the contractor used when they gave us the original documents. So we'll make those changes at the end of this if the council approves this. The change order here tonight has to do with Preload Incorporated. They are the contractor for the new 2 million gallon tank. And we've had many meetings with their staff, their senior staff, like their VPs and things, concerning some changes that they were asking for during this winter shutdown period. And some of them had to do with some road issues that their trucks had caused some of the damage by coming out of that site onto a county road. And other issues have to do with price escalations and things associated with the delays that are within this project. The whole idea behind this is that we're asking for more than this. The 100,000 is a negotiated price, and that's involving discussions between the town manager and the engineer. And the engineer for this project, Will Koger, is in the audience tonight in case you have any technical related questions to what this involves. And the town manager and I and some senior people within Preload. And just as a reminder, even though this is a $100,000 change order that's negotiated, we're in a little bit of a bind. The current tank we have right now, I think I mentioned at a previous meeting that the state does what they call a sanitary survey every 3 years, which is a complete inspection of your entire water system. And when they inspected us a couple months ago, they flagged our tank as what they call significant deficiency, which means it's not going to last too much longer. So this tank is vitally important to us that we get it completed, and the pipelines that'll carry that water from the tank to the town will be completed towards the end of May, barring any other delays with them. But we tried to drag them out to slow them down so that we got a closer time between the end of the pipeline and when this tank can accept water. Looking right now, it looks like the substantial completion date for this tank will change towards the end of October. That's the earliest that we can get them to move. It may shift by a few weeks earlier, depending on the weather. We're waiting for the ground to get just a little softer, and then they'll mobilize back to the site and restart the process of pouring the concrete floor and the tank walls. Again, the whole purpose of this particular change order is to accommodate some changes that they asked for related to cost escalation, fuel escalation, and to also ask for the time extension. This project originally was supposed to be done last year, I think in the fall, late fall, sometime like that. But we ended up having to shut them down due to delays with permitting and the fact that they wanted to just pour the tank floor and not pour the walls till the spring. And for us, that was an unacceptable risk. So we decided to shut them down and have pour all the concrete at one time like a normal tank would be built instead of in two sections that were spread out 6 months apart. So anyway, that's a resolution in front of you tonight to approve this change order number 2, and this is for the 2 million gallon tank project.
Yeah, and Mayor, some of the things Tom mentioned, the county approvals when this contractor bid this job, they expected us to have the county approvals and the regional building approvals done by a certain timeline. Those were delayed by how many months? Right, a few months of delays that had nothing to do with the contractor, had to do with the county and RBG regional building getting their processes completed for us. And so that created an issue to where we had to make a decision last year, right at the end of the summer, on whether or not we were going to pour concrete that close to winter and only pour the pad site and not pour the walls. And so we decided, the town did, not to do that and to pick up the construction this spring. And so that caused a lot of these delays and cost increased cost. And also just to remind you that this contractor's bid was $700,000 less than the second closest bid.
Okay. Are there any questions from the council members online?
So I have a question, if we can, go ahead, you can do it online.
I just wanted to get that one.
Yeah, do it.
Marco?
Yes, hi. The one question I had is regarding the road. It from the packet, it appears that it leaves it unresolved. Is this something that we're going to take up with the county at a later date? Over.
Yes, I've met with the county administrator and with the county engineer. Our staff and engineers feel like that this road was installed substandardly. We met with their on-site staff and they told us, you broke it, you fix it. I also sent that to the county administrator and I'm having conversations with him. It's about a $12,000 bill that we have that is part of this change order. And so we are going to be having further conversations with the county about that $12,000. Now, the repairs to the road have been made by the contractor.
Okay, so then I have 2 follow-on questions based on that information. One, if the contractor believes that they're not responsible, are we the town on the hook for that 12 grand to the contractor? And B, I have some ideas that I'd like to discuss in executive at a future meeting about a possible way forward, if we could.
Yes, the $12,000 is part of this change order. And so the town is on the hook with our next step is we're going to be having a conversation with the county to recover, if not all, but part of the $12,000, because we don't feel like the town should be responsible for repairing a road. If we were, yes, we're building a water tank, but if we were building a house out there, you'd expect to be able to get concrete trucks, dirt trucks and stuff like that on and off that road without having to, repair the road. And we feel like that we're going to have a lot of concrete trucks going out there this summer, and that this could be just the beginning of the degradation of that road.
Okay, thank you. That's
You
all.
bet.
Thank you. Ken? Mr. Kimple?
Yeah, no, Marco asked the question I was wondering about the road, and then the follow-on about recouping the money back to the town via El Paso County, and Mike answered that question, so thanks, that's all.
Anybody?
Yeah, I've got something. So is the reason they can't pour concrete now is because there's frost in the ground?
That's the, you got to remember, this is a 2 million gallon tank, so it's a little bit different.
Right.
Yep.
But it's excavated, so it has frost in the ground because it's excavated.
We still have to excavate, what, 2 more feet, I think it is. Yeah.
Can you talk it through the mic so that, thank you.
Yeah, a little bit more about I'm Will Coger with Forsgren Associates. And a little bit more about the weather issue is this includes some shotcreting, which is water-based concreting. And so they can only do that when the temperatures are pretty warm, 40 degrees and rising, and they can't do it if you're gonna have freezing temperatures overnight. So that's what the issue was, that delayed and pushed it back further and delayed it through the winter.
So it's not really frost, because 2 feet you could get underneath the frost, but
Right.
So it's a matter of the actual concrete itself.
The shotcreting was the big issue.
Okay, I got it. All right, that was all I had then.
Anybody else?
Quick question. What was the cost associated? I think, Tom, you said something earlier with this,
The cost of the entire project?
the change order piece.
The change order is for 100,000. They had originally asked for, I want to say 120 something, 23.
126,000.
Right.
That's the request.
Okay,
Yeah.
but you said earlier, well, not you, but Mike said this is 700K less than another.
The second closest bid.
Second.
Yeah, back
Yes,
when we bid the project, typically in Colorado, there's only a couple of companies that build concrete tanks in Colorado. And the next highest bidder was at 700,000 higher.
Why are they this so less expensive? That just kind of makes me.
Reload
Well-
told us that they bid this very aggressively, and they counted on being able to complete it last year. And so when they weren't able to do that, they cited the cost escalations that were unprecedented and fuel surcharges and all that kind of thing to roll into this change order.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Oh,
This is
I do.
20.
I-
Oh, go ahead.
I do have one more question.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Warranty. What is the warranty on when the tank's complete?
2-year warranty.
And then after that, we're town of Monument's totally on the hook for any repairs, or say the concrete's cracked and it has to be repaired, any damages, that kind of thing.
Yes. And that's typical for all tank projects, right? Is a 2-year warranty.
Okay, thank you.
okay.
I will throw in, our current tank is just in excess of 50 years old, so they do have a long lifespan if they're constructed properly.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll look for a motion.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 20-2023.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Erickson?
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Okay, so I think we're in dire straits for a tank, and we need to get this tank in as quickly as possible. And I'm going to vote yes for the resolution, but I would hope that maybe they could speed this up a little bit so that we don't end up losing our only tank for the west side.
Councilmember Chronic,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiorito,
Yes.
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Mayor LaKind,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimple.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the resolution passes 6-0. Next up, ordinance 07-2023, an ordinance extending the term of a franchise for supply and distribution of natural gas granted to Black Hills Colorado Gas, DBA Black Hills Energy, successor in interest to Aquila, DBA Aquila Networks. Mr. Foreman?
As you know, the town has many franchise agreements with utilities, and this is one of them. And this one had come to an end, and we needed to negotiate a new franchise agreement. This extends that term. You got to remember, we did not have a town attorney for a while. And so we've had our current town attorney look at this and review this and get this ready for the extension of the term. What that will mean is that we will now start negotiating the new franchise agreement with Black Hills Energy. And Mr. Tom Henley is online if you have any questions for Black Hills.
This is a public hearing item, correct?
It's an ordinance. Yes, sir.
So it's a public hearing item, right? All right, so does the applicant have anything that they want to add to this? I don't have any questions, but if there's anything that they want to add.
Certainly, Mayor, this is Tom Henley with Black Hills Energy. I'm at 1515 Arapahoe Street, Denver, Colorado, 80202. Just to briefly state what a franchise is for those council members who may not understand with a utility company, it gives us the ability to work in the rights of way and have the ability to access those without having difficulties, and allows the company the ability to also work on other city properties, and at the same time also collects and remits a franchise fee to the town rather, that is dependent upon what the franchise agreement is ultimately determined upon or decided upon. So we look forward to the negotiations with your town manager and attorney, and hopefully we come to a quick resolution on this and can move forward and keep moving natural gas through the town of Monument for a long time to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henley. Since this is a public hearing item, is there anybody from the public who would like to speak for or against this ordinance? Okay, seeing none. Anybody online?
Mayor LaKind, at this time, I have no hands.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the council for discussion or motion. Did you have a question?
Mike, Mr. Foreman, how long was the previous contract for?
That is not something I have in front of me, but I can get that answer to you tomorrow.
More than 5 years?
Oh, yes.
It does say,
Been a while.
one of the whereas says that ordinance 22-02 was adopted in September of 2002. Does that sound like the last time that this?
Ms. Hogan, I think without looking it up, I can't
That's
answer that
fine.
question.
Okay.
I just was curious about that. Thank you.
I think it's been longer than I've been here. I know that.
And this is just to allow you to negotiate. This is not the actual.
It
franchise
extends
agreement itself.
it extends the existing terms and allows us time to negotiate a new franchise agreement with Black Hills Energy.
And how long would that extension, the next
September
one would be?
23rd. Oh,
No, like the new extension, would it extend for another 10 years or does it depend
it'll depend on the
on the
negotiation.
negotiation itself? Okay.
No, it's extended to September 30th, 2023.
That's to negotiate.
Right, but you're extending the
He was
existing
asking-
term, right?
She was asking how long would it extend the agreement to? The franchise
It would
agreement.
be a new agreement, would it not?
It would be, but they said they don't know how long that new agreement would be until they negotiate.
Right.
That's why I was curious. Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Any questions from Councilmember Kimple or Fiorito?
No, not at this time, Mayor.
Okay.
No
if there's
questions. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. If there's no further questions, I'll look for a motion.
I move to accept ordinance number 07-2023, an ordinance extending the term of a franchise for supply and distribution of natural gas granted to Black Hills Colorado Gas, Inc. during doing business as Black Hills Energy, successor in interest to Aquila, doing business as Aquila Networks, and to negotiate same.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Erickson?
Councilmember Chronic,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem King,
Yes.
Councilmember Kimple,
Yes,
Mayor LaKind,
Yes?
Councilmember Abbott,
Yes.
Councilmember Fiorito.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes 6-0. Next up is discussion item of an art committee. Ms. Vandenhoek.
Good evening, council. A few weeks ago, we had a presentation from Sky Hall of Tri-Lakes Views, who currently manages our public art program. We are in the process of adopting that program so that it falls under the umbrella of the town. And what we would like to do is create an arts committee that helps us select the public art pieces that go in the rotating pedestals around Downtown Monument. So we are asking if any of the council members would like to be members of that committee. We would have Sky Hall and another member of the existing Tri-Lakes Views. And then we would invite citizens to also be part of that. So we'd have about 7 members on the committee with staff to also help assist that program and manage the program.
Okay, are there any members of the council that would like to volunteer to be on the art committee?
Quick question. When are the meetings, and what's involved? I'm interested, but I just need to understand what the time requirements are.
So at this time, we would anticipate probably only 1 or 2 meetings to select the art. So we would get selections in April. And so we would probably only need maybe only 1 meeting to make those selections, possibly 2, depending on how much conversation there is around what pieces and how many pieces are submitted. So I wouldn't anticipate it would be more than 1 or 2 meetings for a couple hours in April and May. Going forward, we might discuss additional ways that we want to see this program grow, and we might invite the committee to have those discussions. But at this time, those are the only meetings we anticipate.
I would very much like to be a part of that. I'm very interested in that. If there's no other council member that is interested.
I am, but I'll let you have this one, Marco.
All right, thanks.
Okay, looks like you've got a volunteer.
Thank you.
Excellent. Cannot wait to see what you guys pick to put around town. Okay, next up is public comment. Are there any individuals in person that would like to make a public comment? All right, seeing none. Anybody online that would like to make a public comment?
Mayor LaKind, at this time, I have no hands.
Okay.
Franchise agreement was 2002, that's 20.
Thank you.
Thank you for finding that.
I keep looking to see if we have more pages on this agenda. All right, we'll close public comment, move on to there's no council authorization items. So we'll move on to council comment. Is there any council members that would like to make a comment?
Yes, I would. It has been my experience that a council or a board speaks with one voice. And recently we had an incident where we all kind of got blind copied on a resident request. And my experience has been in the past, everything should have either flown through Mr. Foreman or the mayor. And I think that when we don't do that, it confuses things and it sets us up for giving two opinions that may not be the same. And so we're opposed to each other. But in addition to that, then there's an ordinance that was written in 2018 that talks to standards of the board and communication and that kind of thing. I volunteer to take a first crack at it, to update it and such that it shows everything that is pertinent from home rule and that's germane to the subject about communication and how we communicate as a council. So that's my comment.
Yeah, and forgive me for not knowing where this was, but thank you, Miss. I assume Miss Hogan got this for us, right? Yes. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The charter specifically requires the council to do this, and it is on the attorney's list of things to get to.
Right.
And the charter also requires this same, they're going to want you to do it via ordinance, and I'd have to look up again exactly what they call it, but it's basically a standards of conduct. And they're going to the charter requires the council to pass an ordinance establishing those standards and also to review it annually after every January.
Okay, so
it
it
is
should be
on
an ordinance
the,
rather than a resolution?
excuse me?
It should be an ordinance rather than a resolution?
Well, what was passed previously was a resolution,
Okay.
but I believe the language in the charter, without researching that right now, I believe the charter is going to require an ordinance to be passed.
Thank you.
And it is something that the attorneys are already aware of.
And I believe you're correct on that, being an ordinance.
And they've already got it on their list of 29 things to do.
I think one of the points, though, that Councilmember Chronic was trying to make is the one voice part.
Right.
The standards of how the board operates are going to be important. We have to make sure that we don't have, at this point, I'm guessing 7 of us received the same email regarding the situation over by McDonald's, and therefore we should leave the message to those. I mean, what was pointed out was crystal clear and actually perfect. But it would have been crazy if they got 7 different messages. So we'll leave it up to, everybody flooding Mr. Foreman's inbox with suggestions versus orders, because we can't make decisions and give direction as individuals. It has to come collectively from us to Mr. Foreman.
If I can point something out, I think a good rule of thumb until we get the ordinance is to just forward it to Mike, to Mr. Foreman, and CC the mayor. That way the two of them are aware, and then we'll have the ordinance to kind of lay out the ground rules.
And also, and you'll find that this happened today. Typically, I respond to the council as a whole on the results of the complaint. So you saw today, we responded back to the council as a whole, but the mayor is right on this, and Ms. Chronic are right on this, that it's typically better just to send those to me. And I know you're concerned that it's a citizen making these complaints and stuff like that, but there are opportunities for them to get online and make these same complaints that they make to you, to us as staff online. And that's what we encourage, is them to get online, make these complaints. We'll review them, we'll look at them, we'll respond back to the citizen in proper time and get them the results of the complaint also. And that's what we're doing tomorrow, is that citizen that complained to y'all will get a letter back from us telling them the results of the complaint.
Okay, any
My-
other council?
Actually, just before we move on to the next, I think Mr. Foreman is making a really great point, because when folks come to us directly, I get that, you know, we represent them, but by not going through the website, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, there's really no tracking that the staff has available to them of issues that the staff is trying to resolve within the town, correct? And so correct?
Yeah, we do, but definitely it's a better tracking mechanism if they go online.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, they can't track it from our emails. Right.
It's more difficult.
Yeah. All right. Is there any other comments from the council?
Yeah, I have one. I just want to have a clarification. So we also had an exchange on email. So I just want to understand this a little bit better so that I'm not giving out incorrect information, because we've got two entities in town here. We've got the town of Monument, and then we have TriView that takes care of roads. And I just want to be clear on how that operates. So if there's a road issue in TriView's district, even though it's in the town of Monument, that needs to go 100% through TriView. Is that correct?
Yeah, typically go ahead and send them to me, because I will forward those to Jim McGrady and have that conversation with him, and we'll determine who's responsible for that repair wherever it is. But typically the IGA between TriView and the town of Monument says that they get a portion of our sales tax, and for that they maintain the roads, the parks, and they provide water and sewer.
Okay, so if it goes unresolved, then ultimately the town of Monument has authority to enforce that.
We own the roads.
Or even just take care of the problem and then bill
Right.
TriView or do something different.
Yes, we don't want it to come to that, and never has in the past. We've had great conversations and partnerships with TriView on this, sidewalks, roads, and everything like that. So it's been a really good partnership, just having conversations with them.
Okay,
But
so-
we do own the roads, and so if there is something, and say worst case scenario, they didn't fix it, refused to fix it or whatever, it is the responsibility of the town of Monument ultimately.
Okay,
Because we own.
and-
so then on new construction, for example, the developer puts in their roads. I assume they put up bonds. And then once the road is inspected, then they get the bonds released. If that's in TriView's district, do they sign off on the road, or does Town of Monument sign off on those roads?
Ultimately, they sign off on it, and then we have an inspector, Tom Martinez, who inspects all of the roads and signs off on all the roads for
Okay.
TriView and for us.
Okay, so I'm giving out the right information. I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's yeah, that's really what I had on that. Okay, thank you.
just one clarification, when you say TriView does repair work on all the roads, my understanding is TriView does repair work on the roads when notified on the east side of 25, but Monument was always on the west side.
Right.
Is that correct?
Right,
Not-
TriView's district is what I was.
Yeah, TriView's district. They're only responsible for roads in
Okay.
TriView's district. So you have some that are on the east side of the road that are not in TriView's district that the town of Monument is responsible
And
for.
we'll have some on the west side that'll be in TriView's district too. Coming up.
Right.
Yeah.
We're
Exactly.
put up signs that say
Yes.
who owns the road, so it causes as much confusion as the ones along 105 does.
And there's a
Well,
lot of county roads that none of us are responsible
That
for.
none of, yeah, and I just want to make that clarification for those either sitting in the audience or those online listening or that are going to watch this later on, you know, so they understand how it's all divided up.
And one final clarification that this is something I learned asking Tom and Mike. The commercial areas, those are leased areas. So the Walmart, the Home Depot, the Kohl's, the Safeway, those are the responsibility of the leasing company. And so this is where code enforcement comes in, as I found out through Mike. So that's something that the town folks will have to go through the website to submit any issues so that code enforcement can chase down the proper individuals responsible.
And great point. To that point, and I've had this conversation with our interim chief, this year, just like last year, and we are being proactive on that. And so you will see our code enforcement officers or police service aides out there making these contacts sooner than later.
And I do want to just say thank you for taking care of that incident over at McDonald's, because you were on it before the email came out. And so I want to make that known publicly that you were already working on that.
Yes, and I appreciate that. And kudos to Interim Chief Johnson. I told him about this last week and he was already on this. And like I said, everything was moved today. That wasn't based on a complaint that we received on Sunday.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yes, one last one. So speaking of the MPD, so I'm a month late, so I apologize. But I want to give a shout out to MPD for their response to, let's call it an issue, a safety issue at St. Pete's School. Your overwhelming response was noted and appreciated. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there's no other council comments, looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We're adjourned.